why we call it frogging and knitting, and it's because rip it sounds like ribbit, which I think is just so fun. Hello, welcome back. I'm Natalee and this is my channel Natalee, where I talk about all of my creative endeavors. I'm currently hyperfixated on knitting, but I also do pottery and some other things here and there. And today I thought it could be fun to kind of plan my next project. I am currently wrapping up all my whips and to take you along an ideation exercise of what I want to knit next. Whoa. I am going to Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle, where I live, in August, and so come up with something to wear to that. Maybe play around with some new skills that I haven't explored yet, like duplicate stitch, or just coming up with my own from scratch project. So I have some ideas that have been floating around in my brain, and I've been coming up with them late at night, laying in bed, and I think because I started posting content, I just have this surge of creative inspiration, and I need an outlet for them. So that's what we'll do today. My day job, I guess, is I'm a user experience designer, so I design apps and websites and software and stuff like that. And one of my favorite parts about my job is the ideation process. One of the exercises that I use for work that I thought to translate into my out of work hobbies is an exercise called Crazy Eights, where you basically just set a little bit of a timer and you sketch as many ideas as possible in that time frame, with the concept that there's no bad ideas. It's just about getting as much out of your brain as you can. So I thought we could do that today with some of my knitting ideas. But yeah, let's dive into it, because I'm ready to get some of these ideas out of my brain. Okay, let's discuss. This first one is a little baby tee with a goldfish on it. I have been seeing these cross stitch grids all over Pinterest, and I haven't ever done cross stitch before. The way that the grids come up it's almost pixel arty, and I think that I could translate a pixel art cross stitch grid design into a duplicate stitch. Probably have to play around with stitch fiddle and figure out the size that I want it to be and how many pixels or stitches that I have to be able to make it work correctly. I think I would get a bunch of sock yarn, maybe the Lang, I don't know what it's actually called, but the Lang sock yarn, get a bunch of it in a bunch of different shades and colors, and that way I would also build up my stash of sock yarns to use. And so kind of treating them a little bit like embroidery floss, and you have this giant collection of them. But yeah, the second option is really similar, but I have a couple ideas for adding a frog onto a baby tee. I think that frog as a knitting term is the cutest, silliest, funnest concept. I just looked up why we call it frogging and knitting, and it's because you just say rip it back, rip it, and rip it sounds like ribbit, which I think is just so fun. And I feel people use it so casually, and it's we're literally talking about a little creature, and we're just talking I'm just frog my project. I want some acknowledgement for how cute that is. And so I thought it could be fun to put a frog on a t-shirt, especially going to a place where if you get it, you get it, going to Flock with a little frog tee, I think could be cute. And I think it could be fun to do a messy version with a little frog motif on it, and kind of have it be a little bit unraveling in a way to really emphasize the frogging idea. I think Be Creative Knits posted a video of a shirt that they made where they didn't weave in the ends, and I think it looked really cool. I feel this is a little bit avant-garde, and I don't know how wearable it would actually be other than to something like Flock Fiber Festival. So I'm not entirely sold on it, but I love it as a concept, and I would love to see somebody make something like this. I think it's really fun and playful. But another kind of concept that I have still in that cross stitch, duplicate stitch idea is doing some kind of like scientific-esque illustration type vibe. I saw some like seashell ones on Pinterest, and I think it could be cool to have like a few little seashells, and like, you know how in scientific illustrations they're always like identified as like figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, and like maybe some little description. I don't think in knitwear I'd have enough like room to actually write out the numbers and like what the text would say, but I feel like you could just like imitate that a little bit with like a scraggly like line. I think that this kind of fits into a tangential part of my fashion that my boyfriend and I like calling like dweebcore, where it's just like little kid like museum t-shirts, and like there's some really cool like vintage like marathon t-shirts, and just like silly animals like ones, and like dinosaurs, and like there's that kind of realm that I feel like something like this could fall into. And I like the idea of it being seashells, or seashells and rocks or something like that, because I love actively like looking for those things if you're going to the beach or a creek or something. But I thought that could be a cute idea. The next idea is a matching piece to go with my sabai top that I just finished. I made it in red, and I'm obsessed with the red color, and I have a little bit left over that I thought could do like a skort. I saw this pattern for a skort, and yeah, just like have a matching set for my sabai top is obviously like really cool or whatever. We'll see. I've been also seeing these like zip up, almost like a zip up cardigan, I guess, in like a sporty type treatment, where there's a contrast on the collar and like down the sleeves. And one of the key characteristics I would like call my fashion style, one of them is like a sporty or gorpy element to it. I think that is really practical for me, as most of the things that I do is like taking my dog on walks and just like being outside. And so I thought it could be fun to do like a sporty knit style thing. And I don't know if it really makes sense for flock just because of the time of year, but it is something that I want to try to do. That and adding a zipper could be a new like skill to like check off my like I've done this knitting achievements. And yeah, I've been seeing these on Pinterest too, and they have like the little circle zipper, which I would definitely do. Along the same vein as that, I've seen some that have more of like this vintagey vibe to them, and they have like little symmetrical motifs around it, and I think it could be fun to do something like that. Although I think for my style, I'd be leaning more towards the sporty one. I have a couple inspired by Animal Crossing. I grew up playing Animal Crossing, and then like when COVID hit and Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, it was just like a big deal for me and I'm sure a lot of people, and I still go through waves of it. I feel like I use it more for the design and like element of it rather than like talking to the villagers and stuff, which I feel like is controversial. But anyway, I thought it could be fun to do a sweater that is inspired by the Animal Crossing grass, so like a green base with green like little triangles all over it. I don't know if I would want to do duplicate stitch for this, or like come up with some kind of chart to like have it be consistent. But I also feel like this is something that I could do in the future if I accumulate a bunch of green like scrap yarn going along with the Animal Crossing vibe. Fishing has always been a huge part of Animal Crossing for me before I started cheating in getting a bunch of bells. We won't get into that too much, but for Halloween a few years ago, I was an Animal Crossing villager, I guess, and I just wore like overalls, like did like the like little circle blush, and I made a fishing rod out of like a gift wrapping like tube, and I drew this sea bass, which on one side it is like what it looks like before you catch it, and then this was like on my rod as a little sea bass. It's faded in the sun now, but I've always been like really happy with how this like little drawing came out, and I keep it on my fridge, but I think it could be fun to do like a sweater or something where on one side it's like maybe the back is like the black outline of the fish and the front is the sea bass, which would also go along with Fish Girl Summer, which By Thread Knits always talks about. Hi, I love you if you see this, but anyway. Okay, the next idea that I have is I have these teal sweatshirt shorts that I posted on Instagram, and I've been obsessed with them. I used to not like the color teal, and something about it, I think it's teal with red and like teal with orange. The color combination is just so good to me. And along the lines of like the Sabai top matching set, I thought it could be fun to do like, to find yarn that matched those sweat shorts really well, and then be able to wear like a little baby tee of sorts together. Yeah, something along those lines. Just to wear as a matching set would be really cute. Okay, so those are my like initial concepts. I think I'm going to vote on a few. Specifically for right now, let's say I think I'm really into the goldfish idea. I'm gonna start that one. I think I'm into the frog idea. I think the third one might be like something to match my Sabai top. God, I might want to pick 4. I feel like the frog, fish, seashell version is like really similar in that it's a little baby tee with some cross stitch inspired duplicate stitch. So we'll just group those together, and then the Sabai top skort. I think overall my next steps would be getting some yarn for a baby tee. It seems like I'm liking like a white or a cream as like a base color for it. I probably will lean towards DK weight just since I freaking hate fingering weight. Get a bunch of sock yarns in a variety of colors, maybe in the like orangey, reddish, creamy, maybe some green, and I can kind of flesh out what I want to do on top of it later on, like once I've actually made it, and once I could see like how many stitches I have across it. I might look up some baby tee patterns. If you have any recommendations, let me know. I might just wing it, but I think even just like I want to do that is helpful enough for me to get yarn and just start playing around with it. And then the other thing that I'll get is some more of the yarn that I use for my Sabai top, which I believe is the Coastal Cottons yarn. And I think I've already seen a pattern for that I could try instead of making my own thing. Yeah, that's where I've landed on. I'm like actually very happy that I filmed this process because now I feel clear on like what I want to do next. I hope you enjoyed this ideation concept type video. I feel like this is something that I could see myself doing more of since I have like so many ideas floating around and I'm like getting so inspired these days. Let me know how you guys plan your future projects. Do you guys have just like a big stash or a big queue and you just always know what's next, or how influenced you are by what other people are working on? Let me know. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you and I hope to see you again soon. So